Hey guys, I just wanted to add a disclaimer here. This video is specifically for men who are experiencing, men, young boys, young adults who are experiencing domestic violence at the hand of women. Often we hear about men who are doing this, which yes, that does happen, but there are women who do the same things. I've done a video on this before, but this time I'm going to talk about the importance of ensuring, on top of being in a situation or when you're dealing with someone who has these anger issues, the last thing you want to do is to get them pregnant. Now, there are some points in this video that I have made that I think some people may not like it, specifically the part where I talk about what a man or a young man should do in a case where he's really trying to take care of his child, he's really trying to be there, but the young woman or that woman continues to give him a very hard time. There's advice that I give him on what to do in that case that some people may not like. So I'm warning you ahead of time. I am not encouraging anyone to abandon a child. I'm not encouraging anyone to be irresponsible, but I am definitely talking to young men about how to safeguard their mind and safeguard their mental health and their spiritual health and even just their physical health, okay? Because there are women who can be very manipulative, and they use a child for that, and the men may feel cornered and they may do something they should not do. So I do give some advice on that. This is nothing different than what I would give to my son if he was in my sons, if they were in these situations, okay? So again, this is for extreme situations where men are, or young men are experiencing the things that I will describe here. And I give you guys some pointers on what to do there. I am not going to respond to, after I just gave you this disclaimer, there's a lot of people that love trouble. They look for something to argue about. They have their wet red pen. They are just typing with Cheeto chips on their fingertips. I'm not going to respond because I already told you that this message is not meaning that it means this. Every situation is different. And I am telling you, when it comes to making decisions that's going to safeguard that young man, I'm going to tell them what I'm going to tell them here. So again, I'm not encouraging anyone to take off and leave, to abandon, but I'm teaching these young men how to safeguard themselves, okay? Now, to each his own. You may make your own decisions. You may have your own point of view on it, and that is fine. You can put that down here respectfully, what your point of view is, but do not accuse me of something that I have specifically said in the beginning I am not doing, because I'm not going to respond to that, okay? Because then your mind is made up, and I can't change it. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed my video, and let's go. Hey, guys, welcome to Big Sister. I hope you guys are having a wonderful, what day is it? Is it Tuesday or Wednesday? I think it's Wednesday. So guys, some of you are celebrating Valentine's Day. You know, I've never celebrated Valentine's Day. I just couldn't get into it. Can't really get into it. So no, I don't get into Valentine's Day that much for some reason. Okay, but anyway, to each his own. But guys, I want to talk to you today, guys, the men, the boys, teens coming up. I want to talk with you about the importance of being careful who you have a child with. Having a baby should be the last thing that you're thinking about. Enjoy your life, get your education, learn who you are, explore the world, see what's out there, just learn different cultures, eat different foods, just live your life to the fullest before you think about having a child. I just did a video with women who I was talking to the young girls, and I was telling them about, we're talking about domestic violence, and we're talking about the same thing here, okay? Because men can be victims of domestic violence. But one of the things I was telling them about is just being careful who they have a baby with. You know, Domestic violence, sorry about that. Domestic violence is one thing. Bringing a child in the mix into that makes it even worse because it is a lifetime connection with this person. It is a lifetime connection. And that person can make your life a living hell, even when you are avoiding them, even when you go on with your life. They still can create chaos because they have your child. Okay. So you want to make sure, guys, that you wait. You want to check out, you want to really examine the character of someone. And the way you do that is by watching what they do. You're going to learn the character of someone, how they behave when they're frustrated, how they behave when they're not getting their own way, how they behave when you disagree with them, how they behave if you're just not doing what they want you to do. You learn the character of a person by how they behave in a restaurant, how they treat their family. You know, a person can have family members who are not nice, but it also matters how they treat them. Okay, it doesn't mean that you have to curse your family out and you have to trash your family. That is a character thing. You can be honest. They can be honest with you about some things, but you know the difference between that and when they are just being they're just angry and they're hateful. That is a part of their character. You see, the thing with men, when you're in domestic violence issues, it's one of those things where you're not going to be taken seriously. In some cases you are, but a lot of times they're looking at you like, oh, how could a woman hit you? How could a woman beat you up? And a lot of times it's because they're looking at you as a man, like you're supposed to be able to take that, but that is not okay. They're looking at you as the man and saying, how is she weaker than you and she's hitting you? But the truth is, because you are a gentleman, the truth of the matter is you do have the strength and the ability to completely knock her all the way across the room. But you being a gentleman, you're trying to protect yourself and you're also careful. You're also being considerate of her as the weaker sex in the sense of strength, right? But then you have nowhere to go because people are not taking you seriously. But people do. There are individuals that do. You have to just go past those individuals that's not taking you seriously. You go above them. You take the next measure. But it is difficult because let's say for a woman, if a woman reports it, even though the laws have failed women in a lot of cases in domestic violence domestic violence situations, they're going to take that more seriously of a man is beating up a woman and the laws are going to be more stringent on that man versus when it's a woman. She'll get a slap on the wrist. She'll start crying. There'll be all these things. She can claim that it was self-defense, and they're automatically going to consider that because you are stronger, in theory, than her. So it's just one of those crazy things that really boils down to choosing wisely, making wise decisions. As a man, you're going to have to do, and as a male, a young man coming up, you're going to have to take so much more precautions than a woman because of the fact that you are automatically looked at as the aggressor. You're the one that can cause damage to the woman. So there are all these things that you have to put in place. And number one, it is paying attention to her character and not her curves. Pay attention to her character and not her curves. There's so much to learn because really we're in a society that they want you to pay attention to the curves, how a person looks, that they're sexy, all these different things. A woman can cry and you're going to be disarmed. How do you learn how to realize someone is deceptive? A lot of times you have intuition, you have instincts. You have discernment. It's there. But when you're in a world where everything is go, 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 Instagram, TikTok, this, that, the other, booty shaking, it can really cause you to become very, you become somewhat, you're looking at things that stimulate your senses versus being able to really look at a person, look at their behaviors, and make a proper judgment on their character. That is going to take time. Guys, there are lots of resources that can help you with this. There are lots of books, there are lots of classes, learning, how not to be. I'm not, you see, they have some sites that I've seen that they have men who are telling guys, how to control a woman, how to make a woman do this. And in my opinion, those things are very misogynistic. You don't want to, a lot of times these are guys that either they were raised by a misogynist or they were hurt by women and they become hardened. So while they're giving you some good advice, they have some bitterness there, and they're teaching you how to mistreat women, play games, play head games with them, make them cry, be heartless. And that's not what you want to do. That's not what you want to do. There's a way that you can be a strong man without disrespecting another human being, without disrespecting someone's daughter, someone's sister, someone's niece, So that's what it is. Now, I personally, being a Christian, I look at the Word of God. I do read the Proverbs. There's a lot of things in there that does support character building, especially like the book of Proverbs. Lots of good stuff in there. However, I understand that not all listeners here are Christians, and there are other measures. There are books, there are teachings. You can get a mentor, someone who has their head on straight, someone who has their life together, okay, that can really help you. And honestly, you do have it within you to overcome and to be able to pick up on this. It's easier to fall into the tears of the abuser. It's easier to have sexual intercourse with Miss Curvy, or it's easier to do that because it doesn't take much. You get stimulated, you act out, you sweat it out, it's over. But character development and making tough decisions is something different, and it can make you feel uncomfortable. But you have to understand that these are the steps and the things that you have to do to prevent yourself from being in a situation to be with an abusive woman. People who are abusive, women who are abusive, a lot of times they're going to come off very sweet at first. They're going to mirror everything that you like. So if you like video games, she likes video games. If you like takeout, she likes takeout. If you like Chinese food, she likes Chinese food. She's going to get very close to you, and then she's going to try to figure out who is in your life that are strong influence in your life. And they're going to try to be their friend at first, and then eventually try to get them out of the way so that they can control them. They're also going to try to find out what your weaknesses are. This is how they're going to work. What are your weaknesses? What are your insecurities? And once they figure those things out, they'll be sympathetic at first, but that's what they will weaponize and use to control you. Then, of course, they will use jealousy, different things to try to triangulate you with someone else. They'll start off making little jokes about you. It may be about how you eat, how you walk, how you breathe, something like that. She will come off like, oh, it's a joke at first. She may even play with you, slapping you across the head like she's playing, all of that. But you need to pay attention to that. You need to tell her, don't put your hands on me. Don't do that. Never trivialize those little early stages. This is whether you're a male or a female, because guys can do that too. They do the exact same things, the same thing that I'm saying right now. And I may do another video to kind of tie that in, but that's the exact same thing they do. Get close to you. They're the best thing ever in the beginning. They love everything you like, hate everything you hate. They get close, all the things that I said. Learn your weaknesses, and then they're using it against you. Then they need to really get you, because now they need to have intercourse with you. Once they have sex with you and they give you that good sex, abusers are going to give you a lot of times the best sex ever, because that is one of their greatest weapons. They get inside your head now, and then what happens? Now you can't make the right decisions with them, right? You're emotional. All right. And then they know your weaknesses and all these different things. They begin to isolate you, all the stuff. And now the abuse begins. They begin to hit you. They begin to slap you. They begin to scratch you. And with men, when the women are doing these things and you're trying to stop her, she's screaming, ah, and call the police. One of the things that I would tell you is the minute you get hit, you need to report it. You need to report her every single time. I'm telling you, if you don't, it's going to escalate. If you don't, she's going to turn it around. Report her. Pick up the phone and report her. You have to do this. You have to literally have a recording on you in these cases. But a lot of times when you get to the point where you have to be having a recording device on you, you've been in this situation for a long time. So this is why when it happens in the beginning and you see this person behaving in this manner and she is being volatile and she will try to make you jealous and she's doing little passive aggressive things, cut her off. A lot of times with women, I'm going to tell you, and why this video is a little longer for the male, is because the men, you can get caught up really easy, because when you're dealing with a divisive and manipulative woman, there's so much areas in which she can play. She has so much room to play. A lot of times they're going to tell you the story about their childhood, that they went through these bad things, which they probably did. But you have to realize, yeah, I hear you, but that's not going to be my problem now, is it? Okay, you can listen to those things, but don't let that be her excuse. A lot of times they'll cry, and you have to learn to understand. I always say this to my daughter: your tears need to count and matter. Do not cry just for the most smallest things, or else no one will take you seriously. When she cries, this disarms you, you're apologetic, and she manipulates you. Okay, you have got to learn how to discern that. If she has done something wrong and you know you have not done anything wrong to her, those tears should not faze you. Yes, it may faze you, but it shouldn't change it should faze you in the sense of you have compassion, but it should not change your position or your decision. Get the help you need. Tell her parents what she is doing. Let your parents know what's going on. Let your teachers know what's going on, and report her. If she is saying she's going to take her life, which is another thing that they do, when that happens, you need to report her. Do not get yourself entangled in what's going on in her life and who abused her when she was little. Don't do that, because a lot of times, while this may be true, there are a lot of abusive and manipulative women who lie, and they get you to go out there and take somebody out who wasn't abusing them in the first place. And even if that is happening, that needs to be dealt with the law. So what happens if you have a baby with this woman? She can make your life hell. She's going to keep your child from you. She's going to play games with you. Today you're the father, tomorrow you're not. And now you're caught in this situation where you can't focus on school anymore. You can't focus on your athletics anymore. You don't have the freedom anymore, because guess what? A giraffe is showing up. You done got a kangaroo pregnant. She's showing up with a baby in her pouch. She's doing all these different things, and she doesn't care about the child. She's not caring about that. She just wants to control you. And I've said this in the past, after you've done all that you can do, a lot of times you're going to just take that L. You're just going to have to be like, look, I messed up. This is what it is. You have to sometimes in your mind put it in your head that you are not going to be able to have any relationship with this child, because a child is a minor. The child cannot make their own decisions. All you can do is whatever financial support that is required of you, you handle that. You get it done through the courts so you can keep that distance, and you may have to walk away as if you did not have a child. Now, some of you, you may think, oh my God, how could you tell someone that? No. Ideally, you want to be there. You want to be responsible regardless of your age. And this is why you should be careful about having children. You need to wait. Okay. But in cases where you do have a child, but you have a child with a person who is giving you all hell constantly, to the point that you are stressing, you're losing your hair, she's causing problems in your family, that baby doesn't know any better. She is the one that's making the decision. So at this juncture, you have to make that choice to say, I'm going to walk away before I do something crazy. I'm going to walk away before I lose my mind. I'm going to walk away before I take my life. I'm going to walk away before I take your life. I'm going to walk away. You need to walk away when thoughts starts to pop up in your head that's not healthy because of all the things that she's doing. Ignore her, leave her alone. You take care of your child, you find out how you can do that, and you leave her alone. You don't show up, you don't go there anymore. Go away. If you have the opportunity, leave. If y'all go off to school, don't talk to her anymore. The courts can't force you to go pick up the child. Now, they can get you with child support. So whatever it means, even if you're just working at McDonald's, you do that. And you do that so that she can't come back later on in your life and say, oh, he wasn't here, he didn't pay for the last 15 years. Because guess what? It's going to be back child support. You don't know what kind of job you're going to have in the future. You don't want to you meet someone new and all this happen, and then all of a sudden you have back child support and you're in arrears, 30, 50, 60, 70, $80,000. You don't want that. So these are the things you have to do. And again, I said, ideally you want to be there. But when you are dealing with a dangerous, volatile woman who's trying to put you under the bus, who's trying to do all these evil things, conversation's not going to help. The best way to deal with this type of person as a young man is to report her, to tell every single time. Ignore that crying. It is manipulation. It is a way to manipulate you. And then the other thing you're going to have to do is, if she threatens to take her life, report her every time. You have to disconnect, because if you don't, you're going to get very caught up. You're going to find yourself getting involved in things that does not matter, that should not be your weight to carry. You're not going to be yourself anymore. You're going to be in a very unhealthy relationship. You're going to be trying to build with someone just because you have a child. Maybe you try to live with her, do these things, and she'll continue to escalate the levels of abuse. And in some cases, you could lose your life. And after she's taken your life, guess what? She starts the waterworks. There's one thing I cannot stand as a female, is to see when a woman just uses her tears. They're wrong and they start to cry. Do you notice that women that doesn't work on other women? Because we see it. We are able to discern when someone is being truthful. We can discern when someone is really crying and need our help as a female. And we can also discern when it's just manipulation. So that's why women often don't go to other women crying and weeping. They're going to do that with a man. So you have to learn how to be someone who is wise, someone who is strong. A lot of times men who are in domestic violent situation, sometimes they were abused themselves in some way, form, or fashion. Maybe their mother was that way. Maybe their father was that way. Someone was that way. And so they think this is normal, and it's not. Regardless of whatever your father, your mother, your parents didn't give you, who was absent in your life, once you're of age and accountable, you have to learn to get those resources for yourself. There are lots of things online you can look at about overcoming abuse, overcoming anger, overcoming all these things, how not to keep choosing the abuser. And then you have to learn what you need to do as a man when you're dealing with a woman who is violent. There's so many more measures you have to take than you're female. There's more than just reporting. You need to have someone that you're letting them know what's going on. You have to document things. You have to record things. But the one of the most effective things that you can do is when you see it from the start. When you see that behavior, when you see that volatile side showing up in her, don't entertain it. Cut it off. Cut it off. Don't have a baby with this person. If you do, I already showed you, I already said what to do. You get on the first thing smoking. And as soon as you start working and you're able to do that, you go and you, first of all, you need to establish paternity. Don't sign a birth certificate. Don't do anything like that. You need to establish paternity of that baby, because you don't know. It could be yours or maybe it's not. Once you've established paternity of your child, then you take financial responsibility the best that you can. Do not delay it. Do not let it go, because it's going to come back to haunt you later on. Okay? And then when you do that, as I said, in those extreme situations, you just make sure financially things are going there. It can come out by allotment. You go to the child support office, you go to the courts, you set that up, you let them garnish that stuff. That way you don't have to be dealing with her personally, and you get on the first thing smoking, go off to school, go where you need to go, take a job overseas, do what you need to do. Okay? From time to time, when your income changes or whatever, you send that money home and you just let that go, because it's going to be up to your child at some point to get to know you, and that you can know your child. You also have to understand that sometimes you're going to have to realize that the child will always hate you because they've been around her and her family telling her a bunch of lies about you, and that's something you're going to have to just accept. These are the things, guys. These are the many reasons why you should not have a child, because with a woman that you just met, or who looks so good, or who is so spicy and who talks back to you, because it is a lifetime situation and it has repercussions. There'll be a child that grows up without you, a child that grows up hating you. Now you're trying to make amends with that child. You're trying to get them to believe you. It's too much. And ultimately you end up having to just walk away for your own peace of mind. And that child is always left wondering or believing something that's not true. Where you can, from today, this day forward, decide, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to get anybody pregnant. I'm going to honor my body. I am going to honor her body. I am going to live my life to the fullest. I'm going to do the most that I can do with myself, understanding myself, learning who I am, getting over, harm, hurt, things that you may have experienced as a child. You need to understand those things as well, and pay attention to those red flags. It's only a matter of time before that woman is going to show you who she really is, before that girl shows you who she really is. And a lot of times when you find it out, a lot of times when she's busted, she's going to turn on the waterworks. Well, you can listen, I hear you, and you can end it. And if she doesn't, call the police each and every time. She's going to take her life. Call the police, call EMS, report her. You have to do it. You may think that you're doing something wrong to her. You may think that you're betraying her. You're not. Not only are you helping yourself, you're also helping her. But most importantly, you are protecting yourself, because when the law is turned around and she abuses you and she does all this stuff, and then she starts to cry and she makes allegations against you, a lot of times the law is going to be more inclined to believe her, because she is a female. She is considered the weaker sex. As much feminism as is going out there, and woman power and girl power and equality, a lot of times women do not want equality when it comes to being accountable and being responsible for their actions. So this is all I have right now. It did go on quite a bit more, but again, I think there's a lot more ground to cover when it comes to males in domestic violence, and there's nothing wrong with reporting it. There's nothing wrong with talking about it. Don't let anybody cause you and tell you to believe that you should stay there, you can handle it, because it can get to the point that she does something that you grab her or you shake her or you throw her so hard, you end up killing her. Don't allow that to happen. Get rid of the provocateur, the woman who provokes, who talks smack, who hurts your feelings. Get away from that type of person, because enough hurt, as calm as you are and as quiet as you may be, one day you can snap. And when that happens, you can't turn back the clock. So take precautions now. All right, guys. Peace.